Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to the conversation. So today, we're going to be talking about something really interesting. The question is Allen Iverson the most iconic basketball player since Michael Jordan? So that's what I want to get into in this video today. But before I get into all of that, I got to give you guys the history. So let's start off with MJ.
Once upon a time.
Michael Jordan is the richest black athlete in the world. He's worth well over $1 billion, and he played for about 15 years in his NBA career. Now, MJ, we all know the story, but let me just tell it to the people that don't know. Michael Jordan has won 6 NBA titles. He's been a 6 times Finals MVP. He's a 14-time All-Star. He's been a 3-time All-Star Game MVP. He's had 10 scoring titles, been on 10 All-First NBA teams. He's been a Defensive Player of the Year, and it just goes on and on and on. He led the league in steals 3 separate times in his career, 2-time slam dunk champion, and of course, he had the Jordans, the most iconic athletic shoe brand in the world with the Jordan brand, and we all know that. And when Michael Jordan came into the league, when he was drafted, coming out of North Carolina as the first overall pick in 1984, he really took the league by storm. Now, let me just first say, let me pay homage to the people that came before MJ. Dr. J and others were kind of the originators, and Michael Jordan took what he saw these great athletes do before him and took it to a completely different level. MJ, at the time when Michael Jordan came into basketball, the NBA had been saved, so to speak, by Magic Johnson and Larry Bird because of the rivalry between these two stars. And it was really good for the sport because these guys had a rivalry, coming out of college, and they took, in the collegiate level, took it to the professional game, and they just continued the rivalry with the Boston Celtics, where Larry Bird played with, and Magic Johnson, who played with the Los Angeles Lakers, and these two players clashing with one another in the finals, which really added to the whole, Celtics versus Lakers, and really added to that lore. So Michael Jordan came in as a phenom, as something quite different from Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And Magic Johnson always tipped his hat because he said when MJ first came into the league, nobody wanted to relinquish the crown to this dude. But when he went up against him in the finals, he said MJ just snatched the crown. And Michael Jordan was quickly starting to become, to be recognized as the greatest player on, the best player on earth. Now, granted, these players are a bit older than MJ, but nevertheless, his greatness was easy to see. So let's get into some of his career stats. So when Michael Jordan came in as a rookie in 1984, in the 1984-1985 season, he actually averaged about 38 minutes a game, played about 38 minutes a game. He scored about 28 points a game. He shot from the field about 51% as a rookie in an NBA that was all about hard-nosed defense, people being really physical with you defensively. And this is a rookie coming out of college, putting up 28 points a game, got you about 6.5 rebounds a game. So Michael Jordan came out of the gate, blazing his way into the NBA. Seasons after that, he averaged 25. He averaged 22 points a game, then he averaged 37 points a game, 35 points a game. But what was really being said about MJ? Okay, MJ was also a culture icon because of his sneakers, the Jordan brand, which is a whole other story that we can get into, how that whole thing came to be and how Nike sort of was able to get Jordan, and they understood that this was going to be the biggest thing in sports, and we have to have this guy on our roster and ultimately be the face of our brand, and even give him his own shoe deal. At the time, no one was doing that, and Michael Jordan was the first player to actually play with sneakers that didn't even match his jersey. And when he came out with the Nike commercials with Spike Lee, everybody wanted to be like Mike. But literally everybody wanted to be like Mike, and it really added to his sort of legend, because he was like a living legend, because people had never seen somebody, a guard, really that athletic, but with that much style and flair. Now, granted, there have been a lot of athletic basketball players in the NBA that have, that came and went, but not with that type of creativity and artistry. MJ made dunking, an art. The way he dunked, the way he flared his legs, the type of dunks that he did. Obviously, his iconic free throw line dunk, which obviously became the logo of the Jordan brand, and which is one of the most iconic sports brands in the world. MJ was the originator of all of these things. Now, granted, there was a lot of fluff, but people were also looking for substance. So as time began to wane on in his career, people were like, hold up, you have the talent, you have the fame, you have all of the accolades as far as scoring and all these different things, but now we need to see some championship hardware. And people were beginning to, sort of second guess MJ and say, hey, listen, man, this guy is great, but he's not winning anything. We need to see this guy actually win. And MJ took it to heart, but the problem was MJ was a lone star on his team, and he was going against some of the greatest, toughest, teams in NBA history, in the Eastern Conference, going against the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, and then the Boston Celtics, and just he really couldn't overcome them. He was just by himself. He was a one-man wrecking crew. But the moment he was able to get another all-star, and Scottie Pippen, who I have to say was not an all-star in his first season, but developed into an all-star, MJ never lost again. He went on to win 6 titles in 8 years. And because of his sabbatical that he had to take, some people say is for a number of things that I'm not going to get into in this video, but many people have their theories as to why he left the league to go play baseball. But he did come back. And in the second year, when he decided to come back from his, from playing baseball, he came in and he was wearing, the number 45. And they got beat by the Orlando Magic I think it was in the first round or so, the second round in the playoffs, where Shaq and Penny Hardaway beat them. But then, I guess he got his mojo together. And the story was that MJ told all of his players, all of his teammates, he said, you guys got 2 weeks of vacation and we are going to get right back to it. And that next year they came with a vengeance and they swept the Magic and then went on to go on their second three-peat. And obviously, one of the things that makes MJ really iconic is the shot that he hit, I think in game 6 it was in Utah, when some people say it was a push off, whatever it was, but that iconic shot to go ahead, to take the lead in the game against, the Utah Jazz with, Stockton and Malone, is probably the most iconic basketball shot. And that's where MJ left the game. Granted, he came back as a wizard, and he wasn't himself, but he still averaged 20 points, basically like at 40 years old or so, 38 years old, or whatever it was. But everybody remembers MJ as the Chicago Bull MJ, and we all know if he was a younger player coming in at 32 years, coming out of retirement at 32 or 33, we all know what he would have done because we saw what he did at those ages, and at age 35 is when he won his final title. So when MJ left the game, there was sort of this big vacuum. What was going to be the next thing? Who was going to be the next face of the league? Because undoubtedly, the face of the league was Michael Jordan. It was easy to see. Everyone knew that. But the question is, who was going to be next? Now, MJ's impact was still being felt because, even all the way up to this point, because today, he's still making over $100 million a year. From his shoe deal with the Nike and the Jordan brand. So his name was already cemented, but the league was still looking for that second person, that next person to take the mantle. And they had some candidates. One of them was Kobe Bryant, who was supposed to be this phenom, but Kobe didn't get to play much in his first 2 years in his career. So it wasn't him. But then unexpectedly was this kid out of Georgetown that was drafted in 1996 by the Philadelphia 76ers as the first overall pick, and his name was Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson might have been the antithesis of, he was the complete opposite of Michael Jordan. If you think of Michael Jordan as being prestigious, wearing suits, very well spoken, very, charming smile, really good with the media, really kept all of his, things, his dirt undercover. No one really knew much about him. AI was the complete opposite. Allen Iverson wore his feelings on his shoulder. He was a kid from the hood, and he was proud about who he was because that environment is what made him into who he was. So he was really proud about proud about the person he was. And when he came into the league, he came in with attitude. And when AI came in, first of all, before I even get into the things that he did when he came in as an NBA player in the league, let me just give you guys his career accomplishment. In 2001, Allen Iverson won the regular season MVP. Then he was also 11-time All-Star, 2-time All-Star Game MVP. He was a 4-time scoring champion and 3-time steals leader in the NBA. But when he came in his rookie season, and AI only played for 14 years, similarly to Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson came in as a rookie, and I think he averaged 23.5 points a game as a rookie coming in. Now, you may say, well, Michael Jordan averaged 28 points a game. Here's the fundamental difference between MJ and Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan. Allen Iverson was 6 foot tall. He is listed as 6 foot tall, and he weighed 165 pounds. And that was the dude that was going out there that ultimately ended up averaging, as for a career, averaging 26.7 points a game, 3.7 rebounds, and 6.2 assists. He actually has a higher scoring average than Kobe. I mean, that's how great Allen Iverson was. And I was recently watching a game with Chris Paul that he did a move, playing with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he did a move between, he passed the ball between this player's leg, and he was going to the rim to do for a layup, but ended up turning it into a teardrop. And they asked him in the press conference, they were like, wow, can you tell us about that move? And he goes, typically, I don't like to go into the paint like that. Allen Iverson was the complete opposite. AI was the living definition of relentlessness. He would always go into the paint, and be, jump into those trees and get knocked down every single time, stand up, go to the free throw line, and go back and do it again and again and again and again. There was just no way you could beat him because Allen Iverson had the biggest heart in the league at the time. So for the league, they were looking at it and saying, okay, hold up. People are really falling in love with this dude, but this is not really necessarily the person we would like to have represent our league. I mean, at the time they were maybe thinking of Grant Hill, but Grant Hill unfortunately got injured, so it wasn't, he didn't really live up to what he was supposed to be. So Grant Hill wasn't it. So for the league, AI ended up being the face of the league, whether they liked it or not. And Allen Iverson took not only the NBA by storm, but he took American culture by storm. No one had seen a basketball player come in with cornrows and had tattoos all over his body, wearing jewelry. They were like, this is the complete opposite of what we were used to. You're used to seeing Pat Riley in Armani suits, MJ and other players like this wearing these big fancy suits. And here you have AI coming in saying, no, I'm dressing like my own people from the neighborhood that I come from. But the only problem is he wasn't a scrub, so you had to pay attention to him. And everybody fell in love with him when he took his team with a bunch of, role players and defensive players and took them on one of the most historic runs in playoff history, took them to the NBA Finals and stole Game 1 from the Lakers, who had gone 12-0 at that point, I think they were 12-0 in the playoffs. And he took it to that team and beat them. And I think that one loss that Allen Iverson gave the Lakers was the only loss that they had that in the playoffs. Had he not given them that loss, they would have had a perfect record in the playoffs. But Allen Iverson going up against Shaq and Kobe was able to go into Staples Center and take Game 1. I think he scored like 48 points. And it's at that point that the entire country just fell in love with this dude because they were like, there's no way we can root against this underdog. And from that point forward, AI became a household name, and he has influenced so many stars. If you watch your favorite basketball player, I don't care if you see any basketball player with a tattoo, Allen Iverson is the reason for that. The reason why you see people like Kawhi Leonard with cornrows is no big deal. It's because of AI. And AI always said, I took the ass whooping so a lot of people can be themselves today. I had to take the ass whooping for that, and AI unfortunately was kind of pushed out of the league before he wanted to because of the way he addressed the media and all of these different things. But nevertheless, his impact will never be forgotten. And just to show you how much of an impact he had on the NBA, in 2005, David Stern, the late and great David Stern, implemented a dress code rule that stated that in no case, shape, or form, players should not be allowed to wear sleeveless shirts, shorts, t-shirts, jerseys, chains, pendants, sunglasses, while indoors, and headphones because of Allen Iverson. Now, obviously, you've seen they've eased off of that rule because now you see, players wearing chains and stuff like that. But they were not with their NBA product players looking like rappers. That's not what they wanted, and Allen Iverson was the reason for that. So, what I want to know from you guys is, do you agree with me? For the true basketball fans out there, do you agree with me that Allen Iverson was truly, the most iconic basketball player since Michael Jordan? Or do you think it's somebody else? If you think it's somebody else, let me know who you think it is in the comment section below. If you agree with me, let me know why you agree with me in the comment section below. I know this video is kind of long, but I have to get it out. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when all of our newest and hottest content comes out. Once again, this is Charles here from DreamersPro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.